I got some ideas, I got some pals, let's get together and pitch some games. Next, let's get into another RPG, and that is Golden Sun. Shay, did you play Golden Sun when that was released?
Actually, our mutual friend Brian Blaisdell, he bought the game, and he had the original Game Boy Advance, the purple one.
Ugh. Those were
Like,
just an awful technology.
I thought he was like, I always thought Blazer was pretty cool, but when he got the Game Boy Advance, I was like, your coolness just went up by 10.
It was basically a portable Super Nintendo.
Yeah, and like as soon as Blazer picked up Golden Sun, he already knew this code that lets you like rename all the characters in the game, all the main characters. And it's one of those classic like Konami codes too, like the up, down, left, right. Or,
Oh, weird.
like
Did he have like Game Nintendo Power or something that he found that out by, or
either that or the internet.
oh,
Probably the internet.
yeah. I mean, this game was released in 2001, so there was some assembly of decent internet by that point. Not great, but
Decent.
yeah. You could look at stuff. I mean, it's gonna take a couple hours to download a JPEG, but you know,
But
depending on,
yeah, he let me borrow his Game Boy for I think a week, and I got to play that game. That was the only game on it, but it was. I remember it being pretty fun. I was really into the world. I thought if they would have made another game like it, but completely rendered it for like the GameCube or Wii, I think it could have really worked. But then they have a game similar to it already, actually. Spectrodes.
really, that's a
It feels the same to me.
I thought it was like an action game.
It is.
Okay, but
Whereas,
you think it feels like it? Okay.
yeah, because you get little animals just like in Golden Sun. Only they're not the Jinn in
Mm-hmm.
Spectro. I haven't played it. Every time me and my sister go to Best Buy, she sees it and she's like, "Hey, you should buy this." And I was like, "You have that system too." She's like, "Yeah, but I don't want to buy it."
Strangely enough, I also borrowed the Game Boy Advance quite a bit from my friend Lauren, who people listening to this show know her quite a bit from Let's Plays and Quick Draws and Bizarre Bits and all that stuff. So she got a Game Boy SP, and then she's had all these games, and she's like, "Why don't you just borrow my whole system and just play these games?" Because she wanted me to experience them, so I played Kingdom Hearts that way, played the Golden Sun games that way. So the unique thing about Golden Sun is it's a turn-based RPG, and the cool thing is there's an emphasis on puzzle solving, which
Hmm.
RPGs did, but not to the extent of this, where you control your character and then your character could use uh,
Like
elemental
psychic powers.
yes, like elemental powers to like move blocks or make things rise. And the one thing that I like the puzzles about the game, but I often got stuck quite a bit because I found that the puzzles were a little obscure sometimes.
Yeah, I
Um,
got the only game at the time that had puzzles that were almost as hard as that were the Wild Arm games.
that's I immediately think of Wild Arms 2 because that's the only other RPG that I can really think of where you're
They had just
using something in the environment to solve puzzles.
Yeah, and sometimes the puzzles in Wild Arms they were ridiculous, especially like in 3 with those special boxes you kept finding everywhere.
Yeah,
The
the extent
Millennium.
of Final Fantasy was like pressing a switch or moving around by like touching it. There wasn't like any special items you really got, but yeah, Wild Arms and
But
Golden Sun are the two that I really think about when
but
she
yeah, for puzzle solving, I mean, I like that kind of interaction with games, and a lot of RPGs now have puzzles, but they're kind of different. Not like the way these are set up. They're Some of them are like riddle based, and you have to like throw certain switches in certain ways, and in that you have to like raise certain pillars or move a block to a certain area.
So funnily enough, the designer of Golden Sun, Camelot, who are actually known probably, at least in the Sega days, like way before this, starting in the 90s with the Shining series. So Shining in the Darkness, Shining Force, all that stuff. And they slowly graduated more and more, and then they did Mario Golf for Nintendo 64. And all their sports games are actually very well. They're very fond, at least in a very small crowd, just because they're basically RPG sports games. You can level up players. You can do, I don't know, weird stuff. I dabbled a little bit in the Mario Golf for the Game Boy Advance, the Advance Tour. And it was pretty cool. It's like, oh, they even have like the talk system from Golden Sun. It's like the yes or no, and they have like a little bubble, little emoticon thing, if you remember that. They're working on Mario Golf World 2 right now for the 3DS. And their last game was the tennis game for the 3DS. So back in 2010, that was the last game for Golden Sun. And I remember that being announced at E3 because prior to this, the last Golden Sun game was The Lost Age, so the second game, in 2002. So it was 8 years later when Nintendo was like, let's bring this back. And, you know, the first two games were received fairly well, but Golden Sun just kind of came out, and no one really talked about it.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't like bad by any means. It actually got like a fairly good, like, average like review. But I mean, Golden Sun, like the Wild Arms series, has always kind of been a B tier RPG, and unless you were into RPGs, you really didn't know about it. And Nintendo really didn't do a very good job of advertising at least the Dark Dawn that I remember. I don't remember any commercials for that one. I remember quite a bit. I remember seeing commercials for the first two all the time on TV, but I don't remember anything for the Dark Dawn.
Yeah, the only thing I remember for the last one, I saw one TV spot, and other than that, I saw like commercials or ads in like Game Informer and stuff. But yeah, I saw one commercial. I saw more Kingdom Hearts when Birth by Sleep came out.
Oh, okay. Kingdom Hearts is always well advertised. But you know, this is a problem with companies. They're like, let's bring this one series back, and then, you know, a lot of fans are like, oh yeah, let's do this, and then they release it, and it doesn't. They don't do a good job of like promoting it. That's kind of like the basically the problem with a lot of Sony things that they release. They make a big hype beforehand, and then it releases, and a lot of things just don't get that well advertised. It almost seems like some of these companies send these things out to die. It's like, oh, fine, we'll listen to you. We made this stupid thing, but we're not going to spend any money advertising it. We spent enough money making this dumbass project, so if it sells well, maybe the next one after this will redo it. But
like Xenosaga.
Yeah. Or any of the Xeno series, actually.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, but
we could probably do a podcast just about that.
I definitely would, especially do that. Maybe time it around when X comes out, which is supposed to be this year, but I very much doubt it.
Yeah.
But yeah, cool characters. You know, a fairly
cool concept.
Cool concept with the puzzles. It always looked pretty nice, and the story I always thought was like so-so. Like I said, like that's where I really, when I say B tier, I always think about like the combat or the story, and nothing was like revolutionary besides like the puzzle solving in the games. But they could definitely release a new one. I mean, it hasn't been that long. I mean, 2010 was a while ago, but you know, it's not that big of a gap. So it stands to reason that there could be a 3DS game for sure.
As far as the Golden Sun games are concerned, like, they've always been really great about integrating your previous save files.
Yes, well, from 1 to 2, the password system was really shitty, though.
This isn't going to be like a good thing for bringing in new people, but for the ones that already have the game, it's nice to have that little nod to. Because I think in the new one, or the newer one, you could actually... Whatever your characters were at the end of the other two Golden Sun games, they get migrated to the third one.
Yeah, except the little port on there.
Right.
Which they could still do with like DS to 3DS transfer somehow. That's another thing about the series was there's not a lot of games that lets you transfer progress from one game or the other.
Yeah.
At the most, a lot of games are like, oh, we see that you have a save data on this. We'll give you an extra item.
We'll give you a bikini for one character.
Yeah. In terms of like where I want the series to go, not really sure. I think that's up to them. I mean, they're really all of them are fairly the same, and I really don't. I would like to see it still be on the portable. I don't think it's ready to go the console route because I think that would sell even less, especially because the Wii U is just not doing well, and releasing a game like this on the Wii U would make a few people buy it.
Unless they marketed it with another game.
Yeah, you get a free demo of Smash Brothers. Oh, that would sell.
New Smash Brothers, but you gotta buy this.
That's also another podcast we could do. I don't want to keep like people listen to these episodes. They're like, wow, they have a lot of episodes ideas and all these things. Like they don't talk about the thing that much, but they do talk about their other ideas. But we'll just leave it at that. So yeah. Golden Sun
deserves another chance.
Yeah, or you know what? Speaking of Smash Brothers, it'd be great to see some character from it be in Smash Brothers.
Yeah, probably Isaac. He's the most memorable, I guess, because he's always on the cover.
Yeah, at the same time too, he's very much like a Fire Emblem character with the sword and everything. So maybe that's why they haven't done it. But I mean, he has magic, so and Link's like it too. But again, he has magic, so try it out. Or it's like magic Pokemon.
They could use Felix. Felix is the one with dark hair, the main character from 2. He's a little different, but still kind of the same. He has a sword.
Well, I mean, who wants a Golden Sun character when you can have a Wii Fit U trainer in Smash Brothers? Who doesn't want that? Let's move on.
Boom, ba-jack, boom, boom, ba-jack, boom, ba-jack, boom, boom, ba-jack, boom, ba-jack, boom, boom, ba-jack, boom, ba-jack, boom, boom, subscribe, boom, ba-jack, boom, boom, ba-jack, boom, ba-jack, boom, boom, ba-jack, boom, ba-jack, boom, boom, ba-jack, boom, ba-jack, boom, boom, subscribe.